Yeah, guys, it's James from Team Eternal Hope here, and I am going to be bringing you an Aqua Force deck profile. Recently changed over from Kagera to Aqua Force as my main clan. Kind of fell in love with them. Used it for Cardiff Team League back in June. Had it for I think it was the week before that. I ended up with the deck and then used it. I went 4-3 record wise. Did alright, bit unlucky at times. But I really like the deck, really like the play style. Anyway, the build is the starter. I run Bubble Edge Draco Kid. I prefer this to the Tridex starter and the Thavas starter purely for the fact it saves you on counterblast. And I found while running the Tridex one especially, you're counterblasting a lot, and I didn't like the idea of using up all my counterblast when I actually kind of needed it. I mean, that might have just been the games I was playtesting, but I like to go with this onto Melania, the Tridex start, sorry, and then swing with her twice and get 2-card draw, which is basically what I could do with this, but for free. Because basically what he does is you put this unit into Soul, and when your unit gets the following ability, when it attacks, if it's the 4th battle turn or more, you can draw a card. It has to attack a Vanguard, but so what I like to do is and he's not got a G boost, he's got the G break skill, so you can use him on grade 2 to turn 2. What I like to go is call 2 Tidal Assaults to the rear guard with your Vanguard, and then put it onto one of the Tidal Assaults, the effect. Swing with your first Tidal Assault, swing the Vanguard. Tidal Assault twice and then the Vanguard, and then go twice for the other Tidal Assault and draw cards both times, so you draw 2. He's quite nice, he's free, he gets you stuff, draws cards. I like the mechanic of the draw mechanic in the deck, because it gets you the things you need and the defense you need to live, especially if you're running against tough matchups or very aggressive matchups. Yeah, it just does quite a lot for you, and you don't really mind if you lose him too much, because it's not the end of the world if you do lose him. So we'll go into triggers. I run 4 Kelpie Rider Petros. He's just your generic double rare grade 2 trigger. What he does is into Soul, if you have a Thavas Vanguard, when you attack with it, put it into Soul, and your Vanguard gains plus 5k and you draw a card. Pretty standard, it's quite nice, just gets you in a bit of extra draw, a bit of extra power, it's quite helpful. Nothing more to say really on her, or him. It's a her. Yeah, it's a her. Next we have 4 more crit, Supersonic Sailor. He's quite nice, you can put him into Soul to 1 flip of damage. Quite useful if you are running a bit low on counterblast and you need just that little extra. I don't normally have too much problems with counterblast in the build that I have, but he just does help you if you are running heavy, and like I say, with the other starter I was, so this would have been more helpful. But yeah, I was running 1 more draw in this deck actually. I'm running 5 draw and 7 crit, but I preferred having effect triggers, and I didn't really feel like I missed the draw too much, or feel the draw more. And I'd rather have that crit presence for when you go your big Lambros turns, to stat your triggers on your restanding Vanguards with plus 10k, rear guards with plus 10k, or if they let Lambros through, you get an extra crit through that. So yeah, I prefer 8 crit really to 7 crit 5 draw. The draw trigger I am running though is Malika. She's just your Margle clone, put into Soul plus 3k, works really nicely with Tidal Assault, gives him plus 3k, 12k for the first on the 7 restanding, get another trigger, it's 12k again, sort of happy days. She helps you hit a few extra numbers or just power over to that first boundary. Doesn't really do much more, builds up Soul, and the extra draw is quite nice. I don't think I'd run 12 crit in this build. I think I would stick to 4 draw and 8 crit, depending on what the support we get, to be fair, but even with the support I think she'll be useful, and she's even getting reprinted in gbt09, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, and then our final trigger is 4 generic heal. Reveal half the deck before anything. They can be really important with G-Guards. The thing I like about this deck as well is that all my triggers do something, especially now with G-Guard, like your heals do something, my draws do something, all my crits do stuff. It just helps the deck out a little bit than having vanilla triggers. It gives you the option to do more than what you could do. I don't really need to explain heal triggers anymore. You run 4 no matter what deck you're playing really. I might try 16 crit and Revenger when we get the Raging Form stuff, but that's a one-off thing. You run 4 heal. Next grade 1s, so I run 4 Ocean Keeper Plateau. He's just your unflip PG. I prefer using these than the old ones, purely for the fact that if I'm running low on counterblast and I need some extra counterblast, he'll get me that. And I don't really need to protect my rear guards, because if my opponent's going to sit there and attack my rear guards instead of my Vanguard, I'm just going to take it and replace my rear guards, because I can quite easily manage that with the draw power and the amount of options in this deck. So having that extra little effect when you're perfect guarding is actually quite nice. There's just little things like that that help the deck, and for reasons why you play certain things over other things. They just give you a little bit more than what other things do, so basically my reasoning for that. Next I run for Nikki, just a general stride fodder. He can search out for your Thavas if you need a Thavas, if you have your other grade 3 and you really need a Thavas for your certain game. And my previous build was Skyros, which is the one I was actually running for Team League. This has changed a little bit since. You might not necessarily want that, because if you're against Kagero and stuff, you want to resist columns and you resist lineups and front row, whatever. Especially like in Link Joker as well. But especially in almost any other matchup, you want Thavas really. Even in this build, you kind of want Thavas over the back of grade 3 I'd run. So it's quite nice to be able to have that search power, and it's a stride deck, so the more stride fodder I have, or the more stride cards to help me stride, the better. Yeah, that's basically why. Bit of a glare on the video, my bad guys. Then we have 3 Battle Siren Melania. I really like her. She's really effective and incredibly good in Thavas. What she does is on the 3rd wave, Generation Break 1, 3rd wave or more, you can counterblast 1 when she attacks, and she gains plus 5k and you draw a card. This works brilliantly with Thavas. Give it her in the back row it, and she just swings 17k because she's 5k from Thavas. And you draw a card, which helps you get your draw mechanic and helps you get the things you need. She does have that counterblast, and like I say, with certain combos, like with the old starter I was running with the Tridex starter, sorry, you're counterblasting like 3 in a turn, but you get like 2 cards and 2 attacks off. Can be a bit heavy, but in this build she's perfectly fine with that. You can even put her on front row if you need to, and she has resist, which is beautiful for Aqua Force, so I really think that's the way to go at the moment. I'm hoping we get like a grade 2 title with resist, Generation Break 1 or something daft like that, because it would be incredibly good for this deck. It just means that she can't be denial griffined or hit by other like retire effects on my opponent's turn, and with Skyro she combo brilliantly, because you'd have like on your turn, your opponent's turn, you'd have your front row with resist, and then if you have her in the back row, you can't really be touched, other than for like board swiping things. So yeah, she's really good, and that's why I run 3 of her. My last grade 1, I run 2 Battle Siren Stacia. She's really good for getting your Lambros plays off and helping to reach the amount of attacks you need from the back row. What she does is she basically, during your turn, she gets this unit can attack from the back row, and when it attacks from the back row, if it attacks a Vanguard, it gets 3k when she attacks from the back row. She's 9k from the back row. Really good in Lambros turns. You put her behind Lambros, you swing with your 2 other rear guards. She swings from the back row, then you go Lambros, restand your 2 restanders, so you haven't had to use their effects yet, and then you get like 4 extra attacks on your rear guards with plus 10k, which is really nice. Next we have the grade 2s. So I run 4 copies of Tidal Assault, bit self-explanatory in Aqua Force. Basically what he does is when he attacks a Vanguard, you restand him with minus 5k. Simple as that, very effective, brilliant for what the deck wants it to do. Just helps you hit with those attack numbers and compress you a little bit, especially early game. And combos brilliant with the starter, as I was saying. You get 2 on either side, put this in, give it 1 of your effects and draw 2 cards off of it. And it's before G break, so you can do that turn too. So yeah, not really much else to explain for him. It's really good, really effective. Next we have 3 Battle Siren Adelaide. She is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. If you have a Thavas Vanguard, you pay the cost. She gains plus 2k, and then at the end of the battle, she attacks a Vanguard. She can stand. Really good. Basically, gives you Tidal Assault for a little bit more of a cost, but she doesn't lose the power, so she can be 11-11. Which is really nice. Or she can hit 16-16 from the back row with the GR Thavas. Just really helps, and helps you get those attacks you need for like Lambros turns or the Thavas retire effects and stuff like that. Next grade 2 we have is 3 Magnum Assault. What he does is, once per turn, when this unit attacks, after the end of the battle, this unit was boosted, you may restand it with plus 2k for a counterblast 1, because there's a misprint there, it should be a counterblast 1. All the misprints in Aqua Force, love it. Basically again, same thing as Adelaide, hits for, really good on Lambo's turns especially, because you hit for 26k when it's boosted, then 21k on restand before triggers. He does need that little bit of a boost, which is why I run him at 3 and Adelaide at 3, because Adelaide needs a Thavas Vanguard but he needs a boost, so having 3 of each is quite useful, because then I can go into one or the other, doesn't really matter, or use both if I have to. The Adelaide restriction is kind of a bit annoying, but with Thavas GR, even if you misride your Thavas, you still have 2 turns of a Thavas Vanguard if you need it. This guy's just generic though, so you can do him whenever, so long as he has a boost, which against control matchups can be a little bit tricky, but at the same time, he's still quite useful. So, I mean, Kagero is such an uphill struggle with this deck anyway. Not like it's going to make too much difference if they retire your booster and you lose that attack, because your likelihood is you would have got Denial Griffin from him or something anyway. So, this is also why we need resist. So next, I run 2 copies of Saberflow Sailor, my last grade 2. She's really good for your draw engine, just to get you what you need. She can be quite useful against control matchups, because she dies at the end of your attack, so if they go onto their turn, they've got nothing to retire. Same with Adelaide. I mean, she's useless after you've played her that turn, but you don't mind losing her after that, it doesn't really matter. You just intercept or she gets retired and it's not a problem. So what Saberflow does is, at the end of the turn, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, if it's the 4th battle of that turn or more, you can kill her and you draw 2 cards. Helps you get things you need, just a little bit extra. You can work with Thavas quite well from the back row, 13k hit. Just helps with that draw engine. I think the draw engine is quite key to the deck really. It gets you the things you need, the options you need, and the defense you need to be able to live really powerful turns. That's why I run her really. Next we have the grade 3s. Now this is where the deck gets awesome. So I have not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 Thavas, all in SP. Basically this is your key grade 3 for the deck. This is your whole principle of the deck right here. Basically what he has is, he has Generation Break 2 skill. If it's the 4th battle of that turn or more, I believe, when it attacks. Yeah, it is or more. This unit gains 1 crit, and also your opponent cannot call grade 0. Is it grade 0s? Grade 0 cards from their hand to guard. You don't really use that effect because it's just an 11k swing. Your opponent's just going to drop a 10k shield and laugh at you, or a 15, or G-guard it. I think you can G-guard them, I'm not quite sure. I think you can. But anyway, his main skill is the on-stride skill. When you stride on top of him, your Vanguard gets the following ability. On the 4th attack, you may select up to 3 of your opponent's rear guards. You have to select 3, but if you haven't got 3 to select, you just select up to as many as you can. And then your opponent selects 1 of them and it dies. Just adds a little bit of control to the deck, which is really nice. Quite helpful as well if you're against some tricky matchups that you just want things gone. The thing I love about Aqua Force is you can almost do everything. It has retire, multiple attacks, restanding Vanguard if you play the correct build, resist if you play the correct grade 3, draw engine. It literally has everything in the deck, which is why I love it so much, because you just have so many different things you can do with the deck. That just makes it so fun to play. But yeah, mainly you use him for the name anyway. It's not necessarily the abilities you use Thavas for. You just want that name for Adelaide. I think Melania's fine. I don't think she needs a Thavas grade 3. But also that on-stride effect is really nice as well. And the SP looks awesome. So next we have our backup grade 3. This is a new addition to the deck. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Angerboil Dragon. 4 in SP again. Looks awesome. So basically he's sort of your backup grade 3. If you misride Thavas, you ride this dude and you're still on an on-stride ability. I mean, it only works with Tetraboil. When you stride, if you have a Tetraboil, when you stride Tetraboil on it, your Vanguard gains the following effects. I believe when your Vanguard attacks, if it's the 2nd battle of that turn or more, you choose 2 of your rear guards, if 2nd battle, sorry, and they gain plus 3k. Which is quite nice because you go swing with a boost on 1 column, same with Magnum Assault, which would work quite nicely on a rear guard. See, this is the tricky thing. Everything you attack with on your rear guard is almost automatically going to restand. So if you attack rear guard with that column, then you attack with your Tetraboil Stride, you then restand that column with plus 6k essentially, which is really nice. adds a little bit more offense, and his generation rate 2 skill is pretty good as well, so if you do run out of strides in a really prolonged game, which shouldn't happen or you're more likely to deck out for anyway, he gains wave second time only. When this unit attacks a vanguard, it gains plus 5k, and then you stand one of your rear guards. Yeah, one of your rear guards, and it gains 10k. I believe the on stride effect was yes, both for second turn only. Gives you a little bit more offense than GB2 in case you can't stride, which is why it's a little bit better in sense than Thavas' GB2 skill. Gives you a little bit extra power, and you restand something still with plus 10k, which is really nice. You can run Skyros, which is what I originally was doing. I may even go back to Skyros, especially with the new support, depending on what we get stride, like how good Wailing Thavas is going to be. But for the time being, I'm going to be trying this guy out and seeing how he works. He seems to be pretty cool. Gives you a bit extra options on your stride deck, and he looks awesome as well. So next we have our G-Zone. We'll start with the opener. So I run 4 copies of Commander Thavas. He's a brilliant first stride, really. Originally I wasn't really playing him that way. I was just playing him as I'll stride first, then go to this guy or Lambros, depending on the situation. But striding this guy first is really quite good and quite important to do now, really. What he does is you select, once per turn, you persona flip from one of your units in your G-Zone, so one of him, and you give a unit in the back, you just give a unit plus 5k, and it can attack from the back row. And then obviously his GB3 skill is the same as Commander Thavas, normal Thavas' grade 3 Thavas' skill. You select 3 on the 4th battle of the turn, and your opponent kills one, basically selects one and it dies. So it changes off brilliant with the grade 3, so you use the grade 3, select 3, they kill one, then you select another 3 and kill another one, so you get 2 retires, and if they've only got, say, 2 rear guards, you kill them both automatically. However, his first skill is the important one. I like to give it to Melania on the back row, but you can also give it to Tyler Assault, Adelaide, Saberflow Sailor. Magnum Assault's not the best idea because it doesn't get its restand, but yeah, he's really good, especially for your first stride. Then we have the bad boy in SP as well, all 4. Heavenly Silk Lambros. Now he is your MVP of the deck, really. He is your finisher. He is your turn where you just go absolutely ham and your opponent sits there and cries. That's how it used to be anyway. Still is to that extent. He's just not as good with the G guards out. However, what he does is on the 4th, choose one, 2 of your cards. Choose one of him in your G-Zone, turn him face up. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If it was the 4th battle of that turn or more, you choose 2 of your rear guards and you stand them with plus 10k each. On GB2, or was it? If you do choose up to 2 of your rear guards and stand them, then if the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more, you give them 10k. So you can restand regardless, but you just don't get that extra 10k, so you're kind of wasting the whole power throws of Lambros. Yeah, he's just really good, and you can do it twice, and your opponent, normally if you play it right, you can be super aggressive and your opponent just sits there and just cries. Yeah, that's about all there is to be said. Next we go into 2 Tetragoyle. Need one more. I'm sort of super sad that I haven't got a full SP deck. If you know me, I love my SPs. So you only ride this when you're on Angle Boil, really. I believe you can only ride it when you're on Angle Boil because you need a Blue Wave Heart. But you can Counterblast 1, choose one of him in your G-Zone and turn it face up. When it attacks a Vanguard and you have a Heart with Blue Wave, he gains -1 drive check and can restand on the 4th battle of that turn. So you swing with him second, you get your Angle Boil restands as well, which is kind of cool. And then when you do another 2 attacks, and then he restands on the 4th one by discarding the card, and then you go again with him, but he does lose triple drive on both attacks. He's really nice, gets you a bit of a restander. It's a nice little option to be able to go into with the Angle Boil, sort of unlocks that. In the Skyros build, I would be running 2 other strides. What's the names? I run Aristotle and Tidal Boar instead of these 2 if I was to go Skyros. And they may be coming out regardless if Wailing Thavas is becoming a 4 of, and I would just run 4 Commander, 4 Wailing and 4 Lambros because brokenness. Next I run 1 copy of Snow Elemental Blizzard. I find with the amount of unflipping strides you have, you can quite easily generate a big G-Zone, and if your opponent survives 2 Lambros turns, 2 Commander Thavas turns, even a Tetraboil turn if you can, Going into this guy, you flip up the next guy I'm about to show, because unless you've had to use him because your opponent got stuck on grade 2, and he comes in for huge numbers. Just helps you a little bit with your finishers. I found I might play Aristotle instead of him, just in case I wanted that free retire that I wanted, but at the same time it's kind of like, if I went into Aristotle it'd be early game, I wouldn't want to do it late game, whereas this guy is your sort of almost your finishing stride. I mean, if you don't win off this guy, you might as well just go home, because you've probably decked out by then anyway with the amount of draw power. So yeah, that's my reasons behind Blizzard. I am running one copy of Sabreeze. Another reason for me running Blizzard as well is if I don't need him, if I don't use Seabreeze during the game, then it's just going to do nothing. So at least that way, if I have Blizzard, I can then unflip Seabreeze and just go off and do what Blizzard does. Basically what he is Cannibals 2, discard a card in your hand. If your opponent hasn't ridden and is on grade 2 and he didn't ride the turn before, you may strike this card. He's kind of good. He's a little bit counterblast heavy, but he has that threat and it stops your opponent from staying on the grade 2 game to shoot your deck down, because we are quite GB heavy. We do rely on our strides a lot to actually go over and like smash people's faces in and win games. I mean, tidal assaults can still work, but that's about the only thing that's really not GB related, which is why again tidal assault is so good. So yeah, I mean, you can bluff him, but I'd like to have that at least if my opponent does get grade stuck, because then you get found out and you kind of get shut down anyway. Next to my G-Guardians, I run one copy of the Aqua Force Thavas G-Guard. He's a bit better than I thought he originally was. I thought it was absolutely useless, but having a free 20k guard on the first two, one of the first 2 attacks isn't the end of the world. Basically what he is on the first or second battle of the turn, you may have this unit gain 5k shield. Really nice if it is, but if you're playing like heavy rearguard attacking decks that do all their rearguard attacks first and then they go in with a big vanguard swing, he kind of becomes a bit useless because he's just a 15k vanilla, and I run a better 15k guard that does a lot more for me, and that unit is Dismal. I run 2. Especially in Aqua Force is so good. And if you're playing against an ex-Kagera player like I did actually in Team League, and they swing the X at your tidal assault, you just go Dismal and the attack fizzles, they just get their twin drive and their turn is ended. It's so good. And even then you can choose to keep things alive, so if I protect your Vanguard and then give it to like a tidal assault or a magnum assault or whichever you want to keep on board. Yeah, I find he's generally very useful. I'm hoping we get a new Aqua Force G-Guard that sort of gives us like a 25k shield or something decent like that, and I'll probably cut this down to 1 and take out Floatia and even Screw You, which I'm about to show you. So I run one copy of Screw You, which is basically when you call him to guard, you can discard a card from your hand and he gains plus 10k. I find he's really nice to have if you come across a very heavy hitting Vanguard and you just need that little extra bit of a shield to guard with. You can discard a grade 3 and you've not really lost any shield, or just a 5k shield and you've technically gained another 5 out of that. It is a bit annoying that you do have to discard because it sort of drains your hand a little bit more than you'd like it to, but it is useful for that extra guard. And like I say, I'm hoping we get like some pretty good G guard in gbt09 that gets us to 25, so I can take this out, Floatia out, and maybe even a Dismal. But yeah, he's quite useful. So that's the deck. Sort of I just absolutely love the deck. It does sort of pretty much everything you want it to do. It should hopefully become back into the meta a little bit more with gbt09, because it has fizzled out now, but it's been a year since we last had support for it. So hopefully when we do get our support in gbt09, it either won't be a year wait until we get more, or we'll get something ridiculously broken like we did last year, and we'll be in the meta for pretty much close to the entire year anyway. And hopefully I will be giving you another deck profile within probably January time, with absolutely just loving the deck even more probably than what I already do. Hopefully I'll have it also maxed out by then. I am very close to, it's probably the closest I've ever been to having a full SP'd out deck, and the artwork just looks absolutely amazing. So that's it guys. Hopefully we'll be giving you a little bit more content within the next couple of months than what we have been. We've been a bit quiet due to a busy summer, but hopefully we'll get back on it a little bit, and thank you for watching.